introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex Tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, stress-free. Syntex Tank, reliable. Syntex Tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough.
I'm afraid. Media Sambisanda mo. Eti emrati no. Mumu hwan pa na tumi hwe na mo bodom pe mo man yakono.
Eye kwabna.
No mumu hwan so na tumi just mali me ma yene nyina de.
Eye kojo.
En kro. Kobre tumi hwe na bodom pe mo sense o yisu accident eba. Ayede yan ban ne do braye. Bo si eti na mo ho ban na sem ma na ho de ne.
Sa.
Ani na kudwo so yisu accident chako. Na no ne de e ma wo se wo ye krejen fita. Na watimi asiri bedwo ma ma na feel you.
Ey kojo sa.
Hello, this is Ghana Connect on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Maxwell Agbagba.
Okay, are you ready? Yeah! This is the way we wanted to be. This is the way we wanted to be. This is the way we wanted
to be. You're hearing voices of some policemen singing their favorite Jama. It has been a tough week for the Ghana Police Service. A clash between personnel of the Ghana Police Service and some residents of the Volta region resulted in 2 deaths and a police patrol vehicle burned. In the northern region, there were clashes at the court between police and some residents. Now, to crown the week is the appearance of COP George Alex Mensah before the ad hoc committee probing the leaked tape allegedly plotting to remove the IGP. At that hearing, the top police officer, who was once speculated to be in line for the top police job, described the IGP as the worst in the history of Ghana. But we have in the past had many commendations for the IGP. So tonight on Ghana Connect, the citizens' verdicts on the Dampari effect. Now connecting is Robert Akoto-Amoafo. He's a management and leadership consultant. Also connecting is Michael Nanabamfo. He's a businessman. Samuel Amoa, he's the PRO of the Ghana Private Roads Transport Union. And as you know, they have a lot of interface with the police. Josephine Mawena Azuma is a youth activist. Also connecting are Jamil Yaya Idi, a victim of the Tamale court clash. And then Adam Bona, he's a security analyst. We also have Wisdom in Dukwe. He's the SLC, former SLC vice president at the University of Ghana, Legon. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to Ghana Connect. You can also connect via the phone lines on WhatsApp. Let us know what you make of the current IGP. Today, it is your assessment. We've heard from the politicians, we've heard from the president, we've heard from the movers and shakers of this country. Today is your turn. Remember to send us a WhatsApp on 055 111 1997. 055 111 1997. We also have polls running on social media networks on X and then also on the Joy FM Facebook page. Remember to join the conversation. We'll be glad to read your messages and to hear your assessment of the current IGP, George Ekufu Dampari. Let me welcome my guests right now. Gentlemen, lady, welcome to Ghana Connect.
Thank you.
Great. Glad to have you. Glad to have all of you. Let me start with you, Robert Akoto-Amoafo. He's a management and leadership consultant. Robert, first of all, I want to find out from you what you make of all that has been happening this week, from the committee, ad hoc committee sittings, all that has, that came up earlier in the day, today, and then yesterday.
Thank you very much, Maxwell, for this opportunity. I have been very worried and concerned about the approach in which this is being done. And it's quite worrying when an institution like the Ghana Police Service have things like these coming up and cropping up, especially when it's regards to the leadership. And when we have other leaders within an institution and we hear such statements from them publicly, and for that matter, having such a thing leaked, it's being said to be leaked, is very worrying. That we have these comments being made and the attitude of this person and what they are saying about the IGP is quite concerning. A quick background, I don't know the IGP, he's not my friend, I've known him from work, from afar, and I don't have any relationship with him. Neither do I know the person who is making this statement about the IGP. My professional view is wrong. If you have a boss, I'm sure every institution has a process that they go through if you feel that there's something going on wrong within the institution that you need to correct. If you feel that something is wrong within an institution, the best thing to do and the best group of people who should know best are security officers. I don't expect this to happen within the military or the police, that they know rank, they know process, they know what you are supposed to follow, and they're supposed to know the law. So for us to hear that a police officer goes into another space to go and have such a conversation about their boss, and then later on come into a plenary and open public, and still go ahead to speak the way he did, is quite worrying, and it's something that I think is not very good for us to have in a country as ours, seen as a beacon of democracy and a beacon of having some good police relations in our country so far. That would be my first reaction. Yeah.
Great to hear from you, Robert. Robert, you've set the tone for this conversation. I want to find out from Wisdom Ndukwe, who is a former vice president of the University of Ghana Students Representative Council. Wisdom, what really is your assessment of the current IGP? We know he became IGP August 1, so 2 years he has been in office as the Inspector General of Police. As a citizen of this country, what is your assessment?
Okay, so as a citizen, I feel like there's been some hits in his discharge of his duty as IGP, and there's been some misses. So with respect to some of the hits, in terms of like police visibility, in terms of like the police being more friendly, even the appearance of friendliness, in that you can go and then tweet at the police, and then they are more responsive now, and then they appear to be more welcoming of even dissenting opinions and dissenting positions. And then even an example, recently, I think earlier in the year last year, there were incidents of like clashes on campus, and then the response of the Ghana police led by the IGP was one that was instrumental in restoring calm on campus. And then there's been a lot of examples where the IGP has had to and the police force in general has had to intervene to ensure that there's been some calm. But then there's been some misses, because again, all right, it's unfortunate that the audio is leaked and it's already out, but then it creates a particular impression about the states of the police people that are working under the IGP. So the IGP, in my opinion, has like two responsibilities: one to the Ghanaian people in general, and then also as leader of the police force to ensure that there's some environment, like congenial environment for police people to do their work. And then from all the conversations that have been happening, it appears that within the service, a lot of people are disgruntled. And then all of those things, like to an extent, go to affect the amount of work that they do or even how they approach their work. So yes, there's been some hits, a lot of hits, and then there's been some few mishaps along the way. Yes.
Interesting. Wisdom, we'll be giving you the opportunity to actually grade the IGP before we end the show today. But let me come to you, Samuel Amwa. You are the public relations officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. You have been dealing with the police a lot.
Yeah.
And you've had experiences with different IGPs. I want to find out from you what you make of this current Inspector General of Police. Wisdom is impressed with police visibility in every nook and cranny. Yeah. Now you see police officers stationed there. Some persons say that alone can, repel crime. He's also impressed with the friendliness of the police. We know you deal with the police a lot. What is your assessment? What's your impressions of all these things that Wisdom is saying?
Yeah, thank you very much. To us, anyway, first of all, let me say good evening to your listeners and viewers out there. Yes, what I'll say about this is, yes, as you rightly say, drivers, we deal with, police a lot. There are so many instances where police will arrest the driver, and sometimes, there will not be a time that we say that the driver will not offend the law. So we deal with the police a lot. So let me come back to the current IGP. Yes, to us as drivers and leaders of the transport operators, we have found out that this current IGP is doing well. He has had so many engagements with the transport sector, having meetings to judge with us, coming to our terminals to come and find out our challenges, our problems, and some of the challenges we have with some of the police personnel. And it's like he's open. He opens up, and to us, we think he's doing well. He's doing well, and also he has also created some kind of friendship between the driving sector and the police. Although it's not all, but if I have to, compare to some previous times, I can say the IGP now is doing well. And then I remember there was a meeting we had with the IGP at the Milkland Station in Accra. He came there and he sat with all the drivers, and everybody had an opportunity to ask whatever questions that they need to ask. And there are instances you come down to come and explain things for all the drivers to understand and all that. And we were happy, to see that. So if you ask me, yes, basically the IGP currently is doing well when it comes to the relationship with the drivers.
So wait, all these things you're saying you didn't experience them with past IGPs?
Oh well, we experienced them with the past IGP, but what I can say is, yes, if you ask my personal opinion, I will say in terms of this current IGP is very friendly. He's very dynamic. He has a listening ear. I'm not saying the past ones don't have, but if you ask my personal opinion, yes, I can say he has a way of communicating. He has a way of coming down to your level to understand where you are coming from. Then you also find out how to deal with you. So I think he's doing well. Yeah.
Thank you, Samuel. Let me go to the only lady on the panel, Mawena. Mawena, the first three panelists, Robert, Wisdom, and then Samuel, all seem to agree that when we're talking about police-community relations, we've definitely seen an improvement with IGP Dan Parry's tenure. They talk about friendliness of the police. They talk about police visibility as well. You are a youth activist. I'm interested in what you have observed so far.
Thank you, Maxwell. And then I'll begin with the very conversation that has started this discourse we are having. Okay. Now, if you listen to the audio that was leaked, supposedly, one of the concerns that actors of the audio had was that if Dan Parry is still in office, he would make it difficult for the NPP to come into power, or he would make it difficult for them to retain their seat. So it goes to prove that at least he's doing something right. And I'd agree with Wisdom about the fact that Dan Parry has made a very conscious effort to change the face of the Ghana Police Service as we've had it previously. There's a deliberate effort to bring the people, or to bring the police to the people. Talk of increase in police visibility. About 2 weeks ago, I was working with a couple of friends. We decided to stop public transport. And then one of my colleagues says, look, the police is like 10 meters away. If you stop them, it would cause an issue. So the IGP is doing something right. And talk about police response to issues, particularly on social media. Previously, it was very difficult to access information from cases that the police were investigating and other matters like that. But now an issue happens, you go to social media, there's a response. You go to social media, there is a response. So I think he's doing something right. But we also need to look at how these activities are translating into certain issues like the corruption perception of the police, for instance. Where was it before Dan Parry? Where is it now? Somewhere in 2019, it was at 57%. Last year, it moved up to 65%. So how are his activities affecting some of these key issues? Because if we can come to you at all times, if police is at every barrier, but at every barrier the police is taking bribes, then it leaves a bit to be desired. But I do appreciate the deliberate effort to change the face of the police, to move away from the police is going to harm us, to I can go to the police at any point, and I know that response is going to be quicker now than it was perhaps 2 years ago.
Thank you, Mawina. I want to come to you, to our security analyst, Dr. Adam Bonan. But Mawina mentioned something about the perception, corruption perception about the police. And I know that in the past, we've had the IGP fighting off claims that the Ghana Police Service is the most corrupt institution in the country. In fact, wrote a long article debunking a research work, dismissing a research work that put police, that said police was the most corrupt institution when it comes to bribe taking and all of that. Let me find out from Samuel PRO of the GPRTU. What is it like under IGP Dan Parry? Do the police officers, do they still, we know what usually happens. Is that still the case or you've observed a reduction and,
Well, what I would say about this is when it comes to the corruption of the police, I can say nowadays, I can say it has come down a little bit. Oh, okay. And it's like even within the police service, they know some eyes are, watching them. So sometimes when, they are doing some certain things, they are careful because they know, their boss has eyes, all over those areas, and that if you are taking it, if you don't take time, you'll be caught, and it will give you a problem. But yes, you can't just take it off like that. The drivers are still complaining. Even myself, sometimes we do experience some of them. Some of the police personnel, I don't know why. Above all the effort that the IGP is, making to bring down all these things, there are some of the police personnel that still goes out there to make sure that they extort monies from drivers and all that. And comparing to previous times, I can say it has come down a little bit because there was an instance where some drivers were arrested and, as a PRO for the drivers, I went in and then I went in to plead on behalf of the drivers, and they were cautioned. They were given warning letters, and we signed a bond for them, not to commit the same offense again. And I saw that it was a good move because it's not everything that the police has to say we are taking money, because there are some crimes, or if I may put, there are some offenses that there must be some consideration. But some of the police too, I don't know, when they wake up in the morning, all they know is that they are going in to get something to put in their pocket. But I can say the IGP now has set some eyes at some areas, even within the police. When you are with them and they are making the conversations, you do hear from them that this time around, if you are not careful and you go about extorting money, you can be caught. So I can say it has come down a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Samuel. Now, let's go to Dr. Adam Bona, who's a security analyst. Dr. Bona, you've had the conversation. You've had our panelist. IGP Dampare is, in fact, credited with ramping up police visibility. In fact, when he was the Director General of the National Patrol Department during the tenure of former IGP Mohammed Al-Hassan, the police visibility program was launched, and we saw police at every corner. And now that he's in the driving seat himself, that has increased. He has ramped up the visibility of the police. In fact, last year, August, the police had 1,000 motorbikes, and that is also helping, the work of the police. I want to find out from you, for the visibility of the police, how are ordinary citizens, benefiting from these visibility?
Well, yes, thank you, and good evening to your listeners and my co-panelists. Well, just like you alluded to, citizens are benefiting from police visibility in different ways. This time around, for instance, I was arrested 2 weeks ago by a police officer just around the same area. Honorable Atachian said publicly that he was arrested. This time around, I usually don't drive by myself, but that day I was driving by myself. And a car I stopped at the traffic light at the airport traffic, the major traffic intersection there. And a speeding truck would have run into me if I had stayed, so I moved. But obviously I jumped the red lights. The police officer, I knew he was going to come after me. And the car I drive in the past, the police officer would just ignore and say, "Oh, these are troublemakers." I parked. And he came and told me, you went through traffic. And he told me that I saw what happened, but you see, I can't just let you go. You have to go to the station. I followed him to the station. A young police officer, maybe he's young enough to be my son. And I followed him to the police station. Just like my co-panelists unanimously have agreed that changes have occurred and the police is doing well. They cautioned me and asked, and the circumstance narrated it. But I was very sober. I told them, we like the work they are doing. And so they let me off with a warning. And, eventually they had to track down the driver who nearly ran into me. And I think they sent him to court in a way for overspeeding. I think, they told me they did that the next day, which I thought was good. And so mine is that change makers usually suffer. Once you find a supposedly rotten institution in the past, we are all in this country. We know how low the police service, descended to a point where we had a police IGP saying, it's only in heaven that crimes do not happen. And mine is that these were times that some of us were furious with the Ghana Police Service. Very furious because we appoint IGPs in Ghana not for heaven. And so I agree with your co-panelist, the only lady amongst us raised issue about corruption index. Yes, it is true. Some police officers are still, attempt to take money, but there's a reduction in major cities, and also because the police now deploys somehow, I think, some body cameras. In the recent, MPP election, I'm told they deployed about 1,000 body cameras to these locations. They didn't have them in the past. And so mine is that listening to what took place today, I would want to say that we've got to be very careful. And I have recommended, I said it publicly, I think on your network and other networks earlier on, that I'm not saying the COP has mental challenges, but some of us will recommend that the committee will do us a lot of good if they recommend for psychological evaluation for some of these people who come before them. Because when it was put to the COP about his testimony yesterday, he said he cannot remember. This was just yesterday. He said he can't remember, and they told him, you said this under oath. He said he cannot remember. So mine is that I would not want to conclude by saying, but I think that it is always fair if you listen to clinical psychologists and psychologists, they'll tell you that we all have a limit to which psychologically we can go. And from the way he flip-flopped and the way the inconsistencies, and what you said yesterday, you said today he doesn't remember. And coupled with that, I just think that it is important that we ask the committee, including the chairman, to probably ask for some evaluation to be done so that we are certain that everything looks okay. Because for me, observing from afar and for a security person who works in the security fraternity, within the security fraternity, I got worried because, these are supposed to be subordinates of the IGP who went out there saying things that are not proper. And when this thing becomes public, he still insists that it's a private conversation. Even when he was told yesterday that it isn't, it is rather, they've taken the veil and therefore there is nothing private about it again. He's still maintaining that it is. Yesterday he was told that Bubu Abusa recorded the tape. Well, he said it is doctored, it is edited, and they told him, give us the original tape. He said it's with the president. Because Bubu Abu said he recorded. And Bubu Abu swore an oath to say whatever, under oath he said, I did the recording, got the tape myself, and after the tape leaked, I sent it to the president. Today, the gentleman says, no, he has intel that the IGP did the recording. So these are some of the reasons why I think seriously that the chairman, because at the point the chairman, you could see the chairman was not too happy. I don't want to say he lost his cool, but he wasn't happy, and he kept telling him, listen, this is a serious committee, and what you say, you could be found, you could be told that, you swore an oath and you have lied, and that is perjury, and that is criminal. And then we have to sit there, and I thought that, Charlie, it looks like the COP, we need to be asking questions beyond what is going on in Parliament and asking that certain things must be done. I mean, that is my observation. That is not to say what I'm saying is the truth, but those who are observing, if they are going to be candid, will tell you that maybe it is important a psychological evaluation is done of the COP.
Sure, Dr. Bona, you're still listening to Ghana Connect on Joe 99.7 FM. The conversation, the citizens' verdict on the Dampare effect. We've had a lot of commendations from politicians, from the president, from the movers and shakers of this country, and they've been commending the IGP, Dr. George Kufuor Dampare. Some have described him as the best IGP we've ever had. Well, at the ad hoc committee sittings, probing the leaked tape this week, a top official of the Ghana Police Service, COP George Alex Mensah, described the IGP as the worst in the history of Ghana. So today we are asking you, the citizens, what your verdict really is. We are asking you to do an assessment of the IGP. What do you make of his tenure? 2 years into office. What do you make of that? You can join us via WhatsApp. You can send your comments via WhatsApp 055 1111 997 055 1111 997. So connect via WhatsApp. We'll be glad to read your messages. You can also connect via X social media platform on Twitter. Michael Ashali is waiting patiently to read your messages later on the show. Also, you can also join us via Facebook. Leave your comments under the stream, and I'll be glad to read your messages as well. But let me go to Robert. Before I come to Edie. Edie is connecting from the northern region. I'll be coming to you shortly, Edie. But let me find out from you, Robert. Robert, you've said very good things about the current IGP and how the Ghana Police Service under his tenure are now doing so well. But I'm sure there are areas where you tell yourself, look, I think there's more room for improvement in this area. If you speak to a lot of journalists in Ghana now, they'll tell you that they are not happy with how the current IGP has centralized police communications, such that now, if an incident happens and you want a police officer to comment on the issue, you will never get them responding to it. In fact, they'll direct you to the headquarters. You get in touch with the headquarters also, and there's no response at all from the police. So there are very big stories that we've reported on, but we did not get any response, from the police. All they do is to post a statement on the page, on their Facebook page. We take the statement and then we pull that out. Some journalists actually say that police is running away from accountability, with that centralization of its communications. I mean, just some weeks ago, 5 suspected land guards were killed at Wager. We couldn't interrogate any police officer because police have centralized, its communication. I want to find out from you, which areas do you think there's more room for improvement for the police service? Hello, Robert.
Obviously, one of the key areas, like you mentioned, would be that we get communications easily flowing. And I think one of the panelists already alluded to the fact that we get quick response. I would testify also on that sometimes things happen and we get the police version of that in their statement. And as far as some of us are concerned, we also want to hear from a source that we can read and understand and know that this is the proper and real way that's coming. If we see of late, you see more police letterheads on your screens than before, and that is a clear indication about how communications are going. Of course, every leader has a way of addressing challenges. I'm sure there have been challenges with the way when communications is left freely, people communicate and get these things wrong or say things that could have been said in a better way. We don't know what the IGP is doing around communications within the police service. Maybe it's time that we question him and ask him make him accountable. Of course, we are not saying that he's sacrosanct. There are spaces that there are trouble. For instance, like you mentioned, this incident of people dying. I just heard about the police running over some people in Hohoi and all of that. So those are things that we think that progressively we expect that he will work on, to ensure that he brings his men in line, that when things are put in place, services that are giving are done properly, that now the corruption in the police service is reduced, and that we see more education on the police service on our TV and in spaces that we need to hear from. That would be a good plus on his part. And then also making it easy for people to access the information that you talk about. So for me, I think that these are areas that he can look at, especially looking at how maybe if it takes that they should create a space where the media interact with the police whenever there's an issue. Create a space where the journalists can go and have access to a press statement, a press conference or something like that will contribute to that part of the work that they do. So for me, these are what I would say that he can improve in his tenure as police IGP. Yeah.
Robert, if you follow the conversation today, in fact, COP George Alex Mensah mentioned that as one of the reasons why he's not happy with the administration of the current IGP. He talked about how police communication has been centralized. You are a management and leadership consultant. Do you think this is the best way to do things?
We say leadership is situational. Leadership is situational in the sense that depending on what is happening at the moment, you adapt skills, strategies, and ways to address the situation. Now, in like we say, I would have loved to know what caused the IGP to decide to centralize communications. Why did the IGP decide that it seems that there's something wrong, that we need to centralize communications, and then I can comment, and then I can say, okay, is there a plan to continuously or gradually release it? Is there a plan, for instance, if you say that maybe regional commanders are not communicating properly? Have you put in place training programs to ensure that these people are trained so that if they are communicating properly, they are not communicating properly, then they'll be trained? But like I'll say, professionally, I'll say leadership. Situational leadership is what is advised. Strategic leadership. But when you come into office,
but Robert,
look at the situation.
But Robert, you agree with me that delegation of duties is also very important. That as a leader, you don't have to
delegate.
You don't. Who's speaking, Dr. Bona?
No, I'm saying you said delegation, and I'm saying delegation, like Robert said. You delegate. It has to be situational. If Robert, they do more of the leadership. I do part and part of it, but not full time. I mean, it's situational. So how do you delegate? If you think your delegation, your ability, your ability to delegate or delegating to people that sometimes you won't get it right. And so I think that let me not cut into Robert. Robert, kindly, sorry for interjecting.
No, I think
Thank you very much, Doc, for that. Yes, to say that you only delegate to people that you are confident in. You delegate to people that you are sure that whatever delegation you are doing will get the results that you are looking for. If you are a leader within an institution, that is why I'm saying that maybe we are all saying that maybe what the IGP needs to do is to put in place a strategic program if he needs his officers to be trained so that those who need to communicate. Is there a protocol for communicating with the media and journalists? If there's not that, is he putting it in place to ensure that over time, when there's a protocol, for instance, if something has happened in your region, are you supposed to communicate? Is this something that you should refer to a higher body? If you are supposed to communicate, what can you say? What can you not say? All those things are things that we need to ensure that we put in place. So for me, I think that if somebody decides, if a leader decides to centralize something or decentralize or to do something, it is supposed to be something that is aimed at changing a situation that is in at the moment and put in place a program that will better it. So for instance, I agree with you. We need to hear from the police more. We need to hear from other commanders, regional commanders who are on the ground when issues happen in their regions. But we need to make sure that they are communicating the right thing that does not put the reputation of the police force in disrepute. That a police commander will say something as a security person and later has to come back and withdraw it. No, that is wrong.
Okay.
So for me, I think that it's important that if this is what he has done and he's listening, my recommendation is please put in place a program that is aimed at training your police officers and the people who are supposed to communicate so that when it is time for them to communicate, there's a clear understanding of what they can say, what they cannot say, and the protocol to ensure that it's done in a manner that is according to what the police expect.
Thank you very much, Robert. Now, let me go to Jamil Yaya Idi. He's connecting from the northern region. This week there was a clash at a court in the northern region. He was a victim. Yaya, welcome to Ghana Connect.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah. How you doing now? You good?
Yeah, I'm good now. But
what is that?
Every time my life is threatened now, this day, now and then. Every day, everybody, the police are my headache now. You see, there's something which is happening. I'm not having a problem with the current IGP because if you listen to people in Accra, Kumasi, they talk about the current IGP. But in northern region, it's another different story altogether. Another different story. There's a lot of illegal drugs stuff in northern region, especially the tramadol, the rafinol thing, and all those stuff. So a group of area people talk about it and they sit in a meeting and discuss about it. Say, how are we going to stop this? Because if we don't stop this, we are not going to get the future leaders tomorrow.
So wait, are you saying you're not feeling the dampari effect in the northern region?
No, I'm not feeling the effect in northern region. The police in northern region is different altogether.
Really?
Can I tell you something? Currently, that was with the incident in the court. There's a motorbike, about 3 motorbikes, a police officer stole from the people.
No, I think these are not things that we can verify easily. So
it is true. It is true.
It's true.
It is true, Maxwell. It is true.
When did this happen?
It happened 2-3 days ago when there was a clash, and a police officer, how he ended up, 3 motorbikes ended up at his house. So that police officer, I think, has been arrested as we speak. And so I just want to say what the gentleman is saying is true. 3 motorbikes that were declared missing were found in the compound or somehow with that particular police officer. And so it's just to say that because I checked and it is true. And so it's just to say what the gentleman is saying. I don't know him, but what he's saying is true. And I think that police officer
let me tell you something. A police officer threatened my life that he will shoot me.
Or they've released him. So that is true.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
A police officer threatened me to shoot me. It's in the media everywhere.
What did you do?
We are arrested. You will see on TikTok and Facebook recently, in Northern Region, they are arresting the drugs and we're burning it. The tramadol and the rapinol, all the drugs that makes people not to be in their right senses. Because it's rampant in Northern Region. If you watch DWTV recently, Tamale is the heart of tramadol. And when I'm telling you, from our Babu to every corner of Tamale, they are selling drugs. That's the the transit of drugs. The people who are coming from Nigeria pass through Lome, and the people who are coming from Burkina Faso pass through Ouagadougou to enter. They are bringing the drugs in Northern Region. And there's nothing police is doing about it. And we too, the resident people who are arresting the drugs, that the police, to embrace what we're doing. It's another different thing altogether.
Okay.
See.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. I want to tell you something. Okay. We arrested a drug, give to police because we wanted the police to do something about it. And the 2 people they arrested together with the drugs are roaming in town, saying that they pay 1,500 from police. Seriously, this is what is happening. As I'm telling you now, my life is on stake.
Okay, Edie, before you go, I want to find out from you, what's your assessment of the police under this current IGP? On a scale of 0 to 100, what will be your grading? What will be your grade?
Current, I will give IGP 60-40.
60-40.
60-40.
Wait,
because
40,
in
60?
Accra, Kumasi is doing well, but in Northern Region is different thing altogether.
Okay, so in Accra you give him 60%, but in the Northern Region you give him 40%.
I'll give him 40%.
Okay. Thank you very much, Edie. Now let me go to Mawena.
They use the police to them out wherever they want, right?
Hello, Mawena.
Hi, Maxwell. I'm still here.
Yes. So in 1 minute, I want you to tell us the areas where you want the police to improve their services. You are obviously, impressed. But just like I was asking Edie says in Accra, he would give the IGP 60%. In the Northern Region, 40% because he's not feeling the Dampare effect. What would be your assessment, 0 to 100?
I think that I would score a 70, and 70. Very quickly I might give why. 70 because, like I mentioned earlier, there are still some lapses to be covered, like, for instance, corruption-related issues, because such issues are very glaring. And for me, as a youth activist, I would be a bit biased. I would say that we need to develop, or we need to better our response to violent extremisms, or our response to clashes, because usually the youth are at the receiving end of it. They are mostly involved, attacked, killed in some instances. So a 70 for me. Let's decrease corruption in the police service. Let's also improve on our responses to clashes, because the youth are usually at stake and the youth matter.
Thank you, Mawena. I'll be coming to our other panelist, but Papani Michael Ashali is here with messages on X, and then from Facebook we have a lot, tons of messages. Papani.
Yes, Agbagba. So, let me take you to X, what we originally know as Twitter. We had a poll out, and the question was, as a citizen, have you observed an improvement in the quality of the police, and are you happy with their service under IGP Dampare? Well, on the Joy FM handle, we have quite a number of people joining in on this poll, and you'd believe me that the no's have it 21%, and yes 79%. This is on Joy FM.
Wait, what was the question?
The question again is, as a citizen, have you observed an improvement in the quality of the police, and are you happy with their service under IGP Dampare?
Okay.
And 79% says yes, they have observed an improvement in the quality of the police.
79%.
And this is
Wow.
on Joy FM.
Okay.
Now, but if I take you to the Joy News one, the number of people that join are even way more, and I'll share with you some of their individual experiences that they decided to put out there. So, but we have other people also joining us from WhatsApp. We'll also bring you some of those. Let me give you the Joy News poll. The same question, we have 71% saying yes again, and then 29% saying no. You'd almost think that is the same poll, but this time around, we even have double the number of people who voted on Joy FM's handle. Wow. But some of the comments Another says, well, this is from at 21 Trim. It says, truth be told, by observation on social media, feedback is yes. IGP is one of the numerous appointments that Nana Addo has made for a thumbs up. Then there are a couple of other ones. This one says that, this is from EB. He says, I have not seen any improvement. They will take bribe on the road. They will take bail fees, etc. What has changed? And he's asking Ghana police, and he adds Apu to it.
Interesting. Yeah, so those are views from social media, X and Facebook. But in 30 seconds, let me find out from you, Wisdom, what's your assessment? 0 to 100. What will be your score for the IGP?
Okay, so on a scale of 0 to 100, I'll give the IGP a 75. That's like a B plus in terms of the perception, the psychological bit of it. He's done exceptionally well. Now I see the police, and then the fear that used to grip a lot of people in times past is no longer existent now. The maxim that the police is your friend has never been more real than it has been in any time, like as a young person, at any other point in time in my life. There are a number of things that need continuous improvement, but then overall, personally, I'm impressed with the IGP, and I just hope that the powers that be, especially going into next year's elections, do not have a way of trying to touch him and then take him off so as to do whatever it is that they want to do. I feel like he's a visionary, and then he's a visionary leader that is very dynamic, like other panelists have said. And then his ideas are fresh, they are rejuvenating. A lot of Ghanaians, even from your polls, are saying that they are happy with the kind of service that the police is rendering under him. So overall, a 75, yes, a B plus. Yeah.
B plus, interesting. Let me find out from you, Samuel. What's your score?
Yeah. My score, I'll give the IGP 70. Why am I saying this? I can see the police visibility now has been increased. Gone are the days where you'll be walking and you don't find a police around. And I'm coming from Ashaima, that is where my business center is. Some time ago you can't walk around midnight around some areas in Ashaima, but of late you can be walking and you see a police motorbike patrolling everywhere. So as I say, I'll give the IGP 70. But one area that I think they have to improve a little bit is their communication with the drivers.
Okay. Thank you very much, Samuel. Okay, thank you very much, Samuel.
Okay, are you ready? Yeah. This is the way we want to be. This is the way we want to be. This is the way we want to be.
Certainly a great time to be a police officer. The verdict is out, and you say you are impressed with IGP Dampare's administration. We have tons of messages coming on our WhatsApp console. This one here says, I'm sad listening to the utterances of COP Mensah before the parliamentary committee. In fact, his utterances do not reflect that of a professional police officer. The least said about him, the better. These are your views. We have another one also This one is from you, Dixon from Hohoi. Dixon says, the fact for me is that majority of Ghanaians are happy about the leadership style of the current IGP, and it is normal for some people to be unhappy. Personally, I think the IGP is doing well for Ghana just as his predecessors. He's just building on what has been built. He is trying to make things better than before. Let's support him to continue his good job. Tons of messages. Unfortunately, we cannot read all the messages, but I want to say special thanks to our panelists for connecting. Robert Akoto Amoafo is a management and leadership consultant. We had Samuel Amwa, is the PRO of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. We had Josephine Mawina at Zuma. She's a youth activist. We had Jamil Yaya Idi. He connected with us from Tamale in the northern region. And then we had Adam Bona, Dr. Adam Bona. He's a security analyst. My name is Maxwell Agbagba, and